what we had filed today, supported by sworn testimony of jurors, is that the clerk of court had improper private communications with the jurors, and the subject matter of those communications was the credibility of the defense that the Murdaugh legal defense team put up, and it was the believability of the defendant's own testimony.
The clerk of court is the person that makes sure the jury gets their food. If they're put up for the night, someplace to stay, their travel accommodations are met. They're not someone that ever should talk to them about the case. I've never had it happen. Again, I've been doing this for a very long time. Never heard of it happening until this case.
And those are the allegations, right? That Becky Hill, the court clerk, spoke to at least one, maybe three jurors about the testimony of Alex Murdaugh. So that's the allegation, right? But you've got to prove it. So the defense filed some papers in how they believe this should be proven at a hearing in front of a brand new judge who has taken over the case. Take a look. They filed this pre-hearing brief. First, they're arguing, number one, that the jurors should be questioned by the judge, okay? The jurors who are in question here should be questioned, who have made these statements to the defense, should be questioned by the judge. They also believe that if testimony is needed, that Judge Newman should be questioned by the court in camera, right? In camera means behind closed doors. So Judge Newman questioned behind closed doors. The jurors questioned behind closed doors. And then they believe, finally, that Becky Hill, the court clerk, the one alleged of doing what you're not supposed to do, should also be questioned, but in open court. So they believe Becky Hill in open court, the jurors behind closed doors, and Judge Newman behind closed doors. Take a look. This is what's really at stake here. Juror 630, this is the affidavit that was submitted by the defense. Toward the end of the trial, Rebecca Hill told the jury, quote, not to be fooled by the evidence presented by Mr. Murdaugh's attorneys, which I understood to mean that Mr. Murdaugh would lie when he testified. She also instructed us to, quote, watch him closely immediately before he testified, including to, quote, look at his actions, look at his movements, which I understood to mean that he was guilty. Big hearing coming up January 16th in this case. That's where they'll decide exactly how they move forward with these allegations. Will there be a testimonial hearing where the jury, the clerk, the judge all have to testify? Let's bring in our think tank, Heckler, Mercy, Kirk, Nurmi, Nima Romani. Nima, is this the way it should go down? Bring in the jurors, bring in Becky Hill, bring in the judge, question them all the questioning being done by the judge?
I think so, Vinny. I think they might burn my prosecutor card, but this is what we need to do to make sure that there's no miscarriage of justice here. Because really, look, anything goes in the jury deliberation room. They can not understand the law or the evidence, but there's one thing that's sacred. You can't have outside influences there. And let's talk about the people involved. You got Becky Hill. You're showing her, but her credibility is completely shot. I think she has to take the fifth. She's looking at potential felony charges of jury tampering. She may get sued for plagiarism and copyright infringement, and she's facing a whole host of ethics violations. So I think you got to put her out. You got to examine the individual jurors if you're the new judge. I think that's important. You got to do that in open court. And look, Judge Newman, if he is really retired, he's just an ordinary citizen. And if he was involved and he had conversations with Hill and those conversations involved removing one of the jurors who wanted to potentially acquit, and that juror did submit an affidavit and testifies to the same, I think Judge Newman's got to testify too. I mean, this is something that's incredibly important. We can't have outside influences in that jury deliberation room, and this all has to happen in open court, Vinny.
You believe open court. Kirk, what are your thoughts? Do you think this is the way it's going to play out? Open court, behind closed doors? Does Judge Newman have to testify?
Well, first of all, I'm so proud of Nima. It's like he's turning a corner. It's a great evening we're having here today. But yeah, I would echo everything Nima has to say. As I said, I do believe the jurors should probably be questioned in secret. I don't know that their identity's been made public or not, and obviously they could face harassment, what have you, for this. Whether the attorneys do the examination, I believe the attorneys should be able to do the examination to effectuate the Sixth Amendment rights of their client. But either way, if this is true, if one single juror comes up and says this is what happened, this obviously affects Mr. Murdaugh's Sixth Amendment right to testify and his right to a fair trial. And to me, at that point in time, it's game over. Mr. Murdaugh, regardless of whether we think of his innocence, deserves a new trial in that regard. And whether Judge Newman has any knowledge of this, we don't know. That would probably depend on what the testimony developed is. I believe Becky Hill should be forced to testify in public. Whether she takes the fifth or not, well, I guess we'll find out. But yeah, I believe that the Murdaugh defense team is making accurate and pretty accurate requests in this regard.
All right, they always say in those commercials, but wait, there's more. Take a look, folks. There were some emails allegedly forwarded from Becky Hill to prosecutors. Take a look, and it happened in the middle of the trial, and it involved after one of the witnesses testified. One of the emails says, his assumption assumes someone is simply walking up to the target to shoot. On cross, ask what height the .300 blackout would be if stalking a target. So this is like a little help for the prosecutor. Another one, the witness's testimony that the shooter had to be 5'2" to 5'4" is frankly pathetic. His projections rely solely on the assumption that the shooter was standing upright when shooting. I'm hopeful you are ready to rebut these assertions, as I find them laughable. Eklund, we're out of time, but in like 10 seconds, is it okay to forward emails to the prosecutor?
No, it's not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. Don't ever do that. It's not okay. Law, like the Law School of Law and Order CSI, it is not okay. Do not do that. Please don't.